Okay, dreamer please.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be looking at the latest developers notes which just got released hours ago, and I would say this is a super game-changing update. Okay, I am a bit taken aback by what I've read, but let's go through everything one by one. So the main thought behind the change is that they want to revamp the entire battle system. A battle system in a game is extremely huge, so this is a very game-changing update, and some people even say that it's gonna be an entirely different game. But let us first look at the first change, which is the turn-based system. So basically right now what we have is that when every hero on the field does their basic attack, one turn will go by. And basic attacks are excluding speed attacks and counter attacks, so it's gonna take very long, and you realize that a lot of PvP matches, one turn seems to take forever, and you can actually end the match in one turn, right? So it really doesn't make sense why there is a turn-based system if everything just ends in one turn. So right now the proposition they have is that once a hero actually does an action, be it a skill or a basic attack, so I would assume that this includes speed attacks and counter attacks, I'm not sure, but they said that as long as all allies and enemies use up one action, then one turn will go by. So they actually have this demo video, which I will put it up here. It explains to you how the new battle system is going to be, how the new turn-based counting is going to be. However, I don't think it is a very good representation, because even in the start of this video, at the first part, you will see that Orca did his speed attack and then Rudy actually used his skill and then it became turn 2. But what about the spike in the back? That is something that wasn't very clear to me, because they did say that all the allies and the enemies have to have done an action before the turn increases. So that will be something that we will have to test when the actual system is rolled out. I do feel that it is more intuitive, as they said, because turns are supposed to go by, right? And to me it is a double-edged sword, because all your status effects, they can be removed just by waiting it out. And if you have enough bulk, or HP to tank it out, then maybe that is actually a good thing. So what I see happening from here on is that they may increase the turn duration for buffs to about 9 turns, because 9 turns is actually something that is already existing in other servers like the Korea and China server. So this is not something new, but for us, 9 turns may take very long, especially in PvP. So I do have another question, and that is, what if a particular hero doesn't use any skill, doesn't do any skill, because each hero does have 2 skills. So what if the first hero, for example, Yeonhee uses her skill first and then she uses her second skill maybe later on? So this will actually prolong the turn. So for example, if you have a Truth on the field and she doesn't use her skills while all the other 4 heroes on your team use both of their skills. So does this mean that the turn will not progress, or does it mean that they will actually restrict such that each hero will definitely use at least one skill within one turn? You know what I mean? Not sure how this is gonna work. So this kind of kills off the hope that there may be manual arena, because in manual arena you can actually control turn increase if that's the case, right? Because you can actually not use a hero at all, let him or her just stand there, and then the turn won't progress. You will just use 4 other hero skills. So I'm not sure if that is going to be the case. Another thing is that because counter attacks may actually be taken into consideration as an action now, so our counter unit is going to be very viable, because counter units essentially, they will not do any damage unless their counter attacks have additional effects. For example, Yeonhee, well, she's gonna counter a lot. So does this mean that the turn will actually go by very quickly, because your opponent will have her, you will have her? So unless she gets revamp, which we'll talk about later, it's quite a crazy idea just thinking that we can manipulate the system by having several counter units, and then the turns can actually go by very quickly. So not too sure how that will work, but we'll see. So the second change is actually also quite big. It is actually about the speed attack. So currently we need to take into account the entire team speed of 4 heroes, excluding the defensive leader, in determining whether you can actually skill first. And now they're going to change it to being dependent only on the attack leader, which means they may probably remove the defense leader. So it's no longer about the team speed. So in that case, you only need your attack leader to have dragon items as well as speed jewels. Not too sure if they're gonna introduce any more speed mechanics to make it harder for players to have a higher speed stat. But for now, it just seems to be the case, whereby you just need a set of dragon items as well as a speed jewel and you are pretty much set. So in this case, I find this actually pretty smart, because power-up stones are actually not very common, right? So by limiting the amount of equipment you actually need, they actually get rid of the issue that power-up stones are rare. So players actually just need to focus first on building one set of PvP items for their best hero, for their attack leader, and basically they can just throw in any kind of hero into their team and still be able to skill first, which gives them an advantage. It basically means that your PvP progression can actually go up pretty fast, simply within the first 2 months of playing, okay? Another point they mentioned is that tank teams can actually have a chance. What I'm thinking is that it actually gives hybrid teams a chance, not really tank teams. So if you still want your tank team to go first, you definitely need a leader that can match up to the speed team's attack leader, am I right? Otherwise, if you're gonna use all tank heroes, you will still be at a disadvantage, you will still be slower than the speed team. And I don't think that's the whole point of changing the system if that's the case, because that is the problem they were trying to target. So if that's the case, I would say that I think in future tank teams will all have a hybrid concept. So you won't have pure tank teams going at you, maybe. Because I feel that with this new system change, they may try to blur the lines of what is called a speed team and what is called a tank team. So just look at the upcoming hero roster. You're gonna have Myth Awakened Wukong, Evan, Eileen, and Chris. All these are not speed team heroes at all. All these are pretty slow actually. So changing the system now is actually good because it helps players to actually bring in these heroes into their team in future when they get released, and this will actually open up arena variety even more. The third change is also pretty significant, and that is the change in damage immunity, which is referring to shield mechanics. So as they said over here, basically the priority of arena now is really to first step, get rid of all your shields, second step, do damage. So that is very standard what is going on right now, right? Your hit shield buffs, your buff duration reduction. So they plan to actually remove, or rather reduce, the reliance of shields, whereby you can actually see a lot of action going on right from the start when you enter arena. So what I am thinking is we could have a greater reliance of HP caps, we could have a greater reliance on reflect, we can also have a possible upcoming revive meta like the Korea server, who knows. And they also said that they are gonna focus more on the hero stats. I'm not too sure what that actually means. Maybe we're gonna see more attacks that, you know, deal damage to top 3 heroes with highest attack, top 3 heroes with highest defense, not too sure. But you know, that could be something, that could be a greater focus. And they're also going to revamp the Willful Ring and Guardian Ring effects so they can create more synergy. Not sure what that means either. Which brings me to the next change, which is balancing battle effects that weren't intuitive. And they are referring to 3 specific effects here. Not too sure if there's gonna be more, but okay, for these 3, we can clearly see now that for ignore defense, they only consider 50% of the enemy's defense, and in future, we're gonna completely ignore. Like, ignore really means ignore now, okay? So skills with ignore defense are gonna be super painful. There's also defense destruction, which actually uses the enemy's defense stat as part of the calculation. So maybe that is also another effect that we'll see rise. I think the more important part of this change is actually the block. Because as you can see here, they said that attacks and criticals from skill cannot be blocked. Okay, but in future they can be blocked, which means block usage could go up, because even if skills have guaranteed crit, in future if you're gonna have a very high block rate, you can still block off all those skill damage, which means your hero is gonna be even tankier if you're giving him full block. So I think this is a pretty game-changing point. Even though it's quite vague now, we need to see whether it is really true. But this can be potentially game-changing in terms of how you're actually going to equip your heroes on your arena team. And of course, there's also the question mark percentage damage based on max HP. I think this is an effect that we have not seen for the longest time, because it only exists so far on heroes such as Rin, Unawakened Yu Xun. I'm not too sure if Awakened heroes have this effect. Okay, but based on my memory, I know that Unawakened Rin has this effect. You can go check it out. So I think if they're gonna shift the focus on stats, then this is also an effect that we will see more frequently. And now it says that they're gonna completely ignore defense in this calculation, so it's gonna do a lot more damage on heroes with higher HP. The 5th change is actually on lethal, the lethal substat. So currently, we have 3 effects for lethal, right? Deals additional damage, which is the 1.3 times multiplier, increased skill usage, as well as targets the enemy with the lowest HP. And they're gonna remove the latter 2 effects which I just stated. So it's gonna be simplified just to deals additional damage based on enemies missing health, which means the less health the enemy has, the more damage you're gonna deal. Not too sure what's the multiplier here because I don't think it is just a simple 1.3 times anymore. Again, you can see that they're focusing on HP over here. So the lesser the HP, the more damage you're gonna deal to the enemy. So in future, we will be using lethal in a very, very different way. Lethal is going to be very good on heroes which have massive damage multipliers, okay? Because they are the ones that will be doing the damage. If you give your Shane double lethal, does it mean that as the health of the enemy drops, she will do more damage? I mean, what they're saying seems to suggest that. And in PvP, you also want lethal on heroes which actually do a lot of damage because it will actually add on to whatever multiplier they have. I think that is the way they're trying to create strategy, how you are going to, put lethal on certain heroes and not use lethal on certain heroes. From what they're saying, I think this could be a potential direction. The 6th change is balancing player skills. So they're gonna follow the courier system and make masteries free. Finally, I don't think there's any bad thing about this, so we're gonna just leave this as that. It's gonna be so good, but they are going to change some masteries, so we will see how that will affect our PvE and PvP in future. So the 7th change is actually for the hero screen, whereby they're gonna add on the crit rate, the lethal rate, the block rate, and the counter rate all on the main screen. I think this is a very, very helpful update because it really can show you if your Shane, for example, has hit 100% lethal. So I think all these information provided at a glance is gonna be so beneficial as compared to manually going to weapons, exclusive item, traits, jewels, accessories to count them all one by one like this. So I think this is a good update. The 8th change is the skill filtering system, whereby you can actually have multiple selections of skill filters which will let you find the hero that you need. If you need a hero which increases lethal damage and crit damage, then they will assign Rachel for you. So basically that's it. I think this is also a very good quality of life update. So the final change, okay, for this Death Note, of course, is that all heroes are going to be revamped. I'm so mind blown when I read this. It is a very tricky and dangerous move, but very much necessary. I'm not sure what the extent of all over here means, okay? Even though it should mean all, even your Pookie, okay, maybe not Pookie, even Ling Ling, okay, even Ling Ling is gonna get revamped. Is that the case? Or does it mean all awakened heroes only? Now, who knows? I mean, honestly, all heroes is a huge deal in our game, in any game in fact. And they never actually gave us an example of whether this will be rolled out in phases or whether this will be all changed in one go. But it does sound like they will all change it in one update because they will change the battle system, and along with the change in battle system, you have to change heroes to keep up with the battle system. Otherwise, you're gonna have a very, very weird gap. So all I can say is this is super big. That is why I named this video 7 Nights 2, because it's gonna be totally different, and this literally just made all my master guides useless. But let's just leave that for another day. But let's just wait for it and see how it goes. And hopefully, along with the next video, which I will talk about the progression in 7 Nights, hopefully we get a better idea of whether this game is actually still very friendly for players, or as what a lot of players have feedback saying that, it is not actually going in a way that is good. Okay, we'll see how that goes in the next video, so do stay tuned for it. If you found this video helpful, do give it a like and do subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys very soon.